on radio, and on your smartphone. This is Talk TV.
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Whoa, there you are. Welcome to another edition of the world's greatest ever television program. What Just Happened? It's presented by me, the world's greatest ever television presenter. And I got a couple of guests as well. One of them is the great Anisiobi. Why do I say great? But he is here. And Andrew Eborn, barrister, man about town, broadcaster, general all-round good guy who's going to make this show slightly less boring than it would be if it was just JJ. Here's a few of my thoughts about our favourite couple from Montecito. So here it is. Merry Christmas. Everybody's having fun. Or are they? Another season of alleged goodwill, and already the royal battle lines are being drawn. Welcome to the annual pantomime starring Charles, Harry, William and Meghan in their own real-life version of A Family at War. For a brief, heady moment, it looked as if palace peace had broken out, with reports of Harry phoning his dad, the king, on his 75th birthday amid a new spirit of love and harmony. Then Meghan's muckraker-in-chief, Omid Scobie, released his second book on the Duke and Duchess of Netflix, and all hell erupted, ruthlessly raking over emotional old coals. Scobie's new tome, Endgame, as expected, paints a decidedly unflattering picture of Charles and his regal clan, especially William, while holding up Harry and Meghan as near-perfect saintly human beings who can do no wrong. Omid's contention that in the sad final hours of the Queen's life, William deliberately kept Harry in the dark and refused to take his phone calls has taken the feuding brothers straight back to square one. The ice between the king and his youngest son might slightly be thawing, but Harry and William's once warm relationship has turned positively arctic. Worse than ever, in fact. Enter Harry and Meghan's well-oiled publicity machine, spinning that the gruesome twosome had absolutely nothing to do with their chum Scobie's latest literary offering. Of course they didn't. And if this denial seems familiar, that could be because it bears remarkable similarities to the denial they issued after the publication of Scobie's first book, Finding Freedom, which chronicled in glowing terms the heroic couple's escape from the racist hell of bigoted Britain to the sunlit uplands of faultless California. After insisting that she did not contribute to her friend's account of the Sussexes' flight to the New World, Meghan apologised to a London court and conceded that, in fact, she did help, and the book was discussed directly multiple times in person and over emails. So, for Scobie's second literary classic, did this most uncritical of authors really receive no assistance from a couple who have always been there for him? You decide. Meanwhile, in a preemptive strike, perhaps from the Montecito publicity operation, we hear that Harry and Meghan would just love to spend Christmas with the king and their relatives at Sandringham, where the royals traditionally gather in the season to be merry. But cue booze for the pantomime villain. Charles apparently has not invited them because we're told by mysterious anonymous sources the dynamic duo would not be welcome. Well, I guess it's easy to imagine that if William and Kate never saw the Duke and Duchess of Netflix ever again, it would be too soon. But is the king really telling the royal runaways not to return? Does he really not want a royal reunion? Or is this a carefully constructed PR narrative in which Charles plays the bad guy and our shining heroes from America are the poor, put-upon victims just trying to make the peace? Is this a carefully constructed narrative to make Harry and Meghan look great? Is it fact or fiction? You decide. Well, JJ, is it fact or fiction?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's fact or fiction. I've got no answer. I've got no answer. But what I would say is that I think the Prince of Wales should be showing some goodwill. See what I did there? Goodwill.
Yeah,
Prince of
very
Wales.
good. Who are you thinking is the Prince of Wales in this instance?
Well, the
William, the Prince of Wales.
William, exactly. I think it is good, isn't it? It gets confusing,
about
doesn't
the Prince
it?
of Wales, otherwise known as the Prince of Wales.
Good, on that one. Okay.
He should
I have a personal nickname for him myself. I call him the Prince of Wales.
I think he should
So
show...
it is the Prince of Wales.
Right.
Thanks, Andrew, for that useful interjection.
It's helpful.
He should be the mature older brother and just welcome Harry back in. Just be cordial, allow him to come back and try and get them back into the fold, absolutely. But, as I've said to you before, I think it's disgraceful that Harry allowed Scobie to write this book in the first place. Yeah. If Scobie is really mates with them, then Harry should have said, don't do this. The family's been through enough. We've had our say. We're now done with it. Move on.
Yeah, my suspicion, Andrew, is that they did know all about this book, but they possibly didn't know when it was going to get released. I mean, books like this do tend to get released just before Christmas, but they might not have known about the publication date, and along it came. And as I say, we were on the point of a sort of thawing out. We hear Harry spoke to the King on his 75th birthday, which was way back last Wednesday. But this book came along and completely ruined everything.
Scoobies do, absolutely. And it is indeed. And you've been here all week. But people are confused. You talk about the Prince of Wales.
Scooby-Doo, where are you?
Montecito.
Yeah.
That's right.
He should be in it, shouldn't he? He should be in it. But gee, come on, man. Where are we going? Oh, no!
And it is panto season. As it's panto
exactly.
season, where's their career? It's behind them. You work on that sort of principle. So they are here, but never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. So people still think the Prince of Wales, they still think you're talking about Charles, so it's good to clarify that. What I would say...
Not really anymore. Only for you. Most of us have got it on board now.
Is that right?
I don't know if you heard that last year the Queen sadly died. She's not the Queen, she's the Queen Consort.
We love it. But I have to say, I reckon we can disclose exclusively here that Harry and Meghan will come for New Year's Eve because William's going to be away. They will. I guarantee. We have a wager. They're going to be away. William is not going to fight over the Christmas pudding. I thank you. Yeah. Because he's going to be away at his own little house at that time.
He's not coming.
You don't think he's coming at all?
No.
I don't think Meghan
This is what I've said this to JJ lots of times, and I'll probably be proved wrong. But I don't believe Meghan will ever step foot in this country ever again.
Yeah.
She doesn't like us. We don't particularly like her. Don't think she likes this wet and grey land. She likes California. And all things considered, why would she ever come back? I don't think so. Well, but it's an interesting theory.
She's going to focus on her presidential campaign, which will be an even more interesting theory. Yeah. I reckon she'll be after that.
Either. I mean, you know, the Democrats are in big trouble having an 82-year-old senile dinosaur in the helm. But if Meghan ever got into the White House, they'd be in even bigger trouble. I think we've got a bad ad now. Shall we watch it?
Sunflower oil, the fresh light taste that'll make you shine. Oh, oh.
Why isn't he singing?
Because he's eating.
Ain't no better spread to lay on my bread. And when you taste it, you'll believe what I
Say.
oh. Fire light! Did I miss something?
Of course, that dates back to the days when you could put the word Israelite into a song and it could be a hit. It wouldn't be that anymore, would it?
Desmond Decker, we love that song.
Yes, well, that's right. All the Israelites. But what was Vitalite, for God's sake?
Sunflower spread.
There was.
Is it still around?
Real. No. I think there's one at the back in the cupboard somewhere. but that's about it. It works on that sort of basis. It's a great advert, though, isn't it?
Somebody said, it's brilliant, I won this competition. I won a year's supply of Marmite. One jar. This is true. You keep Marmite for ages.
You do. We love it. We love it.
Gross. No, that was a terrible ad. But I've seen something even worse on TV lately. Yeah, have a look. Have a look at this.
Right after us at 9:30, it's Kev and Alex. Morning, guys. What's coming up on the show?
The Lovin' next. Hello?
Can you hear us, Kev and Alex?
Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan.
And I'm Alex Phillips, and we're with you for the next half hour to chat through all the stories that have caught our eye this morning. You're with Talk TV, on radio, online, and on your smart speaker.
Well,
that
I think
works.
we clearly had a couple of technical issues there.
I wondered how they reacted because we never found out. But yeah, let me tell you about that.
Here we go.
Me and Alex were sitting there in total silence.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell was going on because what they call talkback wasn't working. So we didn't know what was happening. They put the script up, so I thought, I know, I'll read it. My name is Dog, Mr. P Dog, Pavlov's dog. Just wind me up and I do whatever I'm told.
I love your reaction with the hands. Your hands were like, well...
wait,
I'm trying to sort of convey a message. So in the end, I thought they must want me to read the script. So I read the script. And I go, oh my God. They go, oh, that was a disaster. No, I'll tell you what would have been a disaster. What I very nearly said. I very nearly went, what the is going on? I mean, you're laughing. I was that close to saying. So, a milestone in broadcasting history.
Yeah, and I love the fact that everybody's wearing these blue jackets now. There was obviously a job lot for Talk TV. We all got the memo. It's gotta be good.
But mine was more expressive, which is quite clear, obviously. Anyway, enough of that. It's time now for mean tweets. I think you've got some for me, haven't you, JJ?
This is my new hobby, is just searching the internet.
Reading things about me.
You, yeah. And I haven't got to look very hard for them. There's always plenty. So here's number one. You are not a real journalist. They mean you, Kevin. You are a propagandist. You'll follow whatever narrative you're told for a few quid. Good journalists dig deep, connect dots, and hold authority to account. You can barely hold your drink.
It's all about principles. It's about making the world a better place and making me rich. How about that? What do you reckon, Andrew? Oh, well, you're a barrister. You know about earning fortunes, don't you?
When they're not on strike,
Absolutely.
Did you go on strike? You sound on a picket
I would never go on strike. I would never. But if crime doesn't pay, that's why
it does for you, lot.
Wait, I've got more.
I love it.
I've
got more. Two more. Talk TV. Can somebody please tell Kevin O'Sullivan to pack in those horrible voices and face pulling? He's enough without that.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Who the is Kevin O'Sullivan? Another irrelevant four-eyed amongst a sea of them. I think they're calling me a four-eyes. I will not be part of it.
Hey.
Seriously.
That's all of them.
So have you got any?
I have.
you now?
I get loads. It's very good. Andrew Eborn looks like the long-lost love child of Jeremy Clarkson and Will Ferrell.
That's quite interesting.
Bang on! Is that bang on?
Bang on!
What an anchorman, I think.
The unwanted love child.
And Chuck forwarded one to me. Here we go. This is one about Andrew Eborn.
Chuck is.
He's
the producer.
Brilliant producer.
Andrew's just referring it. Chuck is the producer.
Please tell Andrew Eborn to calm down. It's Sunday after all. There you go.
It's a Friday night.
Well, no, I know, but this is. I think they were responding to a Sunday one. They couldn't respond now.
It's not Sunday. It's Friday night.
Exactly.
It's Friday night, and after all that, we could use a break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to What Just Happened, the greatest TV show ever made. I am still with my excellent guests, JJ Anisiobi and Andrew Eborn, and here are a few more of my very valuable thoughts. We're used to the BBC screwing everything up. It's what our disastrously dysfunctional state broadcaster seems to be for, lurching from one self-inflicted crisis to the next and getting it all wrong. Hopeless Auntie Beeb can't actually produce any decent comedy anymore, but at least she makes the nation laugh by being a comedy. 2 grovelling apologies so far for error-strewn, apparently biased anti-Israel reporting in Gaza, but no one's saying sorry for the bemusing decision not to call Hamas's murdering terrorists terrorists, which would be laughable were it not for the fact that the horrors in the Middle East are, of course, no laughing matter. And now it emerges that a senior BBC journalist played a central role in helping a convicted gang rapist remain in Britain long after he should have been kicked out. 5 ridiculous years ago, Yaqub Ahmed, a vile sex monster who assaulted a 16-year-old girl in London in 2008 and who we really don't want here, was being deported back to his native Somalia when do-gooders on board the passenger plane to Istanbul saw Ahmed in handcuffs. They decided that all deportations must be wrong and demanded his release. As a result, this revolting rapist was removed from the jet and stayed in the UK, fighting his case for a further 5 years. He claimed that repatriating him would abuse his human rights because he would be separated from his family. Please pass me the world's smallest violin. And also that his life would be at risk because Somalians don't take kindly to men who rape women. Well, Mr. Ahmed, here's the thing. Britons don't take too kindly to depraved lowlifes like you either. And that's why, finally, at long last, this excuse for a human being has been returned to his home country, where, if he is in danger, I, for one, won't be losing too much sleep. But after those bleeding heart, bleeding idiots on the plane ignorantly engineered Ahmed's right to stick around, British taxpayers were forced to shell out more than £100,000 to pay for the legal aid that funded his vastly expensive immigration lawyers. And who did they hire as part of the case that this gang rapist should be allowed to permanently reside in Britain? Well, it was expert witness Mary Harper, who testified that Yaqub Ahmed faced persecution and mortal danger in Somalia. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, Mary Harper also happens to be the BBC's Africa editor, making big money to speak up for a deeply undesirable foreigner's bid to remain. Does this seem right to you? A senior BBC journalist funded by licence fee payers on a nice little earner to help a gang rapist? According to a Beeb spokesman, this is just fine. There is, he insisted, nothing in the BBC's editorial guidelines that prevents staff from acting as expert witnesses. Really? Maybe you should change your guidelines then as a matter of some urgency, because letting a foreign sex offender hire your Africa editor as a well-rewarded expert witness is a bad look that will do little to persuade the nation that the BBC is not biased. We don't know the precise amount Ms. Harper pocketed, but expert witnesses are paid up to £2,500 for a written report and £800 a day for appearing in court in person. Nice work if you can get it. And since 2013, Mary Harper has taken the stand in at least 8 other similarly contentious immigration cases. Doesn't all this sum up what a ludicrous soft touch Britain has become for anyone who fancies breaking into the country? Doesn't this insane scenario of loony lenience sum up why our migrant crisis gets worse by the day? A rapist on the point of deportation from the UK gets to stay 5 more years thanks to a bunch of vacuous virtue signallers on a plane and the help of a BBC journalist whose wages are funded by licence fee payers. Utterly crazy. Welcome to mad modern Britain, where goodness knows anything goes. Well, I'm going to go to you first here, Andrew. You know all about the legal system. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it?
Well, it is interesting, but the big point to emphasise is that the BBC guidelines don't prevent it. So if you're going to get an expert, and they do get paid, well, that's the question, isn't it? Because, and the BBC is in a terrible position at the moment. They say trust arrives on foot, but leaves on horseback. I thank you. I'm here all week. Very nice. But the BBC at the moment, we're rightly shining a spotlight. They've had all sorts of troubles, and this is yet another one. The BBC guidelines should be revisited. You cannot have an expert working for the legal system as well as being impartial at the BBC. I mean, how on earth didn't she report on that sort of issue?
Now, this was a stupid, ridiculous incident in the history of Guardian reading Britain, where all these fellow passengers. They saw him come on with his handcuff. They just, deport evil fascist government, they shouldn't be deporting anyone. It's obviously wrong. He's a gang rapist.
Yeah.
The deportation was righteous. It should be happening. OK, but these things happen. They had to get him off the plane because it was causing such a commotion. My question to you, JJ, is why didn't they get him on the next plane the next day? Why did it take 5 years?
Exactly. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then we paid, what, £100,000? We paid taxpayers
Well,
for
we
his
paid
legal aid.
him 100,000, more than 100,000 since that incident in legal aid.
Ridiculous. You know my stance on sex offenders, rapists? I want them chemically castrated.
It had obviously been decided that this guy could go back. We've been through the process. There he is on the plane. There's this little hoo-ha, so they take him off the plane. Why on earth couldn't they put him back on the next day on the same basis he was on the day before?
Well, because they overruled the basis, is what happened.
Who overruled it?
The
crowd on the plane?
But as a result of the BBC expert. And just because it's rather like Rwanda, and you're turning around and you say, we're now going to designate
but that was
Rwanda.
Subsequent, though. That was subsequent.
Absolutely.
They'd already decided. And then he gets yanked off the plane, and then the BBC journalist goes in afterwards. And why was that case even happening?
With further evidence for the court. So this is what they're doing. So just because it's rather... Abraham Lincoln used to have a fantastic dinner story thing, which he used to say, counting the tail as a leg, how many legs does a dog have?
5.
Wait, it still has 4 because just because you call it a leg doesn't make it so. So when you turn around and say Rwanda's a safe country,
Lincoln needs to work on his story.
Work on that.
I don't think that's all that good at all.
But whatever happened to him? I go to his Christmas show.
He overrated that Lincoln guy. That's a good press.
But that's the principle.
With his rubbish phrases.
Stupid beard.
Good old Abraham. Stupid beard. Who wears a beard these days? I know you work on that.
Eborn, look, the law is an ass. The law is an ass.
A dedicated, hard-working member of society, absolutely.
I don't care if you're Somalian or Albanian or Australian. If you come to this country and you rape someone, I don't care if it's safe for you to go back to your country or not. You should be going straight back. 100%.
So what you should do, though, is change the law in the same way as the BBC guidelines.
You do it. You're a barrister.
I'll do it, absolutely. I can change the law. Change it now. We can do that. We're calling it a safe law. But that's what happened. The reason they started televising sentencing is, and it happened 28th of July last year, they started televising sentencing so people would understand what was happening. They understand the process because there are legal constraints about what you should do to make sure there's a fair process. What you need to do is change the law.
We need to, because people look at this country as being soft. British citizens say the country is soft, and then the rapists come in here and raping women and then allowed to stay here. This country is becoming soft. We've got to change the law.
It is time for a bad ad.
They should have known.
It's got so out of control.
Putting Bassett's licorice all sorts into a handy-sized bag. This was bound to happen. Looks like we're the only ones left.
Bassett's licorice all sorts. One too many, and you might turn 30.
Well, I suppose it takes all sorts. I remember lots of licorice adverts. I don't remember that one.
I remember that one, but they're disgusting. Licorice
But it's terrifying as a 5-year-old child watching that.
Oh, yeah.
Working out, not only do your teeth fall out, but you get this enormous pink head. What's that about?
It's very Black Mirror, isn't it?
It was. It's totally Black Mirror.
So if you ate enough licorice all sorts, the contention is you would turn into one.
And everybody around you
I don't think that's scientifically accurate. I think it's one for Patrick Vallance, the chief scientific officer, and his sidekick, Chris Whitty. And with that, we come to the end of another brilliant edition of the world's greatest TV show. Oh, what just happened? Thank you so much to JJ, Anisiobi, and Andrew Eborn. We will be back same time, same place, right here on Talk TV. This is What Just Happened.